them out from A to Z. See which one is hotter now. Wanna chime in? Hey, pick up your phone and call me. Westbrook, Clinton, Etowah, Auburn, Gaston City, Westbrook, Cruiser, Christian, Southside, Rammer, Jammer, Yellowhammer, give them hell, Alabama.
And I said that specifically for you. Welcome to the Coach Teach Show. Jeff Underwood, Jared White. What's up?
You're hanging out, not just the old ball coach, the old ball coach playoffs.
I'm excited. He's got a fresh cut, man. Looks fresh cut. Excited about it.
Hey, what's him say? Thursday, grass cut and haircut.
That's right. There you go. No, thank goodness. That's good. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Hey, Coach was here on time. We were making coffee. So don't any negativity, send it toward Jeff.
Yeah, I'll take it.
So, hey, before we dive into this, Coach, let's just kind of give us a recap of how you think the season progressed. And it's been a good season. I mean, 9-1. It's not the perfection that you guys try to achieve, but it's really good regular season.
Right. Very proud of our guys for the regular season. You play the regular season to hopefully get yourself one of these spots in the playoff bracket, and you got the second season now that's starting. November football. I told the kids this morning we were practicing and getting done. I said, half the teams in the state are not in the position that we're in right now. And more than half the teams in our region, being in a 9-team region, so don't ever take that for granted.
Right.
But this is what you play the regular season for, to hopefully get yourself a chance to be in the playoffs. And then, there's going to be a 5-week season here. Everybody starts out 0-0, and there's one team that's going to go on a 5-game winning streak, and they'll cry tears of joy, and the other 31 teams will cry tears of sadness because it'll end with a loss. And somebody's going to have to win things. Somebody's going to win 5 in a row. Why can't it be us? That's kind of our motto, and we're just excited to be in this position.
Sorry, but I think some people get caught up in, and Jeff and I talked about this a little bit yesterday there in the Etowah County High School Football Show. Winning at the end of the season, winning the state championship, it should not be the criteria if you had a good season or not. It's so much more than that.
Well, you got to have some things go your way. You got to have some, the luck of the draw in the bracket. Home field advantage means a whole lot during the playoffs. You're playing people that you can't control how the other people's season has gone. Things like injuries that we all know are part of football. The wrong injury at the wrong time to the right person can cripple any team. Yeah. But you just got to go out there and play the games and see what happens. And everybody's dealing with minor injuries and things like that. Everybody's dealing with probably players that they've lost for the season, and everybody's in that next man up mentality. And it's kind of like I tell the team each and every week, if we play this long and we don't have some minor ailments and some injuries and some things that need icing or taking care of, we're not playing very hard.
Hey, let's do this real quick before we jump into playoffs and that. Let's talk let's talk college real quick. You were saying, hey, we need to get Steve Coach's opinion on this. So ask him. Let's get into it.
We talked about a little bit about Auburn yesterday with when we were doing the other show, and just your thoughts. I know you love high school football, college football, and you just love football, right?
Right.
What's your thoughts going around with the Auburn search, and from a non-biased standpoint, not from an Alabama standpoint, right? Obviously, you want me and Jeff to take the job if you're now that guy.
Well,
sure.
So who do you think is a good fit for that program? And fits matter, though, right?
I would venture to say that anybody that has anything to do with Auburn is probably not watching this show, right? I mean, so none of the higher ups are going to be watching the Westbrook football show.
No.
Well, the first thing that's got
Nick watches.
I just want to make sure nobody cuts my tires. The first thing that has to happen at Auburn, the first thing that has to happen is they're going to have to let the people from the outside quit having input in their decisions. That's the first thing.
How you preaching, Coach?
The second thing, the last 2 hires at Auburn, they've tried for the non-Power 5 up-and-coming coach, with Brian Harsin from Boise and Hugh Freeze, what he had done at Liberty. They've tried that route. Yeah. I think the only thing that can rescue Auburn at this point is to make a big-name splash hire. And if that big-name splash hire is backing up the truck to try to get a Lane Kiffin, I don't think he'd leave Ole Miss for Auburn personally.
I agree.
If that big-name hire is John Gruden, I mean, I think Auburn needs somebody in there that can generate some buzz with the name recognition that can tell the big money donors to get out of the way and let them have full control over running the program, and also be given more than a 2 or 3 year window to build it back, because well, and the thing is I think Freeze left it better than he found it.
I don't disagree.
But I don't necessarily that says as much about what Coach Freeze did positive as how bad it was when he got it after the Coach Harsin experience. And,
Yikes.
But I do think that in order for Auburn to have any chance to be relevant at the top part of the SEC, like what we can remember them being when we were younger, they're going to have to get the boosters out of the way. I know those people donate lots of money. I get all that. But they're going to have to get a name recognition coach that can come in and say, this program's hit rock bottom. I can fix it, but y'all going to have to get out of the way, give us the resources we need, but get out of the way and let the guy do the job. I mean, as an Alabama fan, I know Alabama boosters and people won't want to say this, but is that not what Alabama finally did when they brought in Coach Saban?
That's right.
Coach Saban wasn't going to come in and do it anybody else's way. He wasn't going to be influenced by outside people. They got out of his way, and the proof's in the pudding on what happened there. And I feel like the only way Auburn can get out of the middle of the SEC, or actually probably the lower part of the SEC right now, is to make a splash higher. And like I said, if it's James Franklin, I don't know who it is, but I don't think going the route of the South Florida coach or the Texas San Antonio coach, or I don't think going that route has worked in the last 2 hires. And I think they're going to have to go out and go with a big name, somebody that's got I don't know if Jimbo Fisher would. If I was Jimbo Fisher and I had to give up any of that buyout money, I wouldn't come back and put myself in that frying pan.
He's cashing checks.
He's still out cashing $74 million in buyouts, right? So
come on.
And I don't know what Coach Franklin's situation is with his buyout. Obviously, he won at Vanderbilt, did an admirable job at Penn State, but. I thought Penn State pulled the plug on him way too quick. But I think that's the only possible fix for Auburn. I don't think because they've proven they're not going to give an up-and-coming coach more than a couple of years to get it turned around.
So when you consider an up-and-coming coach, would you be ruling out Summerall from Tulane?
Coach Summerall's a guy that had done a great job at Troy. And the thing that I would worry about with Coach Summerall, I think Coach Summerall will eventually be the head coach at Kentucky. That's where he wants to be. That's where he played. Yeah. Stoops may have saved his job this past week by beating Auburn, but I think that Coach Summerall wants to be at Kentucky, and so therefore I would be very skeptical if I were Auburn or anybody else to go after him, because I think his heart wants to be in Kentucky eventually. I like him. I think he's a really good coach. Sure. But, he's done a great job at Troy. He's done a great job at Tulane in a very short period of time.
But it's not the SEC.
But, again, everybody thought that Coach Freeze, with the previous experience at Ole Miss, and I think one of the things that was attractive to Coach Freeze from an Auburn perspective, he had 2 wins over Coach Saban.
He did.
But it's funny to me, what is the standard at Auburn? Do you want to play for the championship? Do you want to just beat Alabama? Do you want to beat Alabama and Georgia? I go back and look when Coach Tuberville was there. He beat Alabama 6 years in a row, I believe.
Sure did.
And they still, ran Tommy Tuberville off eventually. So,
for Tuberville.
So it's an odd situation, and of course I'm not a donor at any place. I don't have enough money to be a donor anywhere, but it's an odd situation to me about what do you really want. And
2 more names I want to throw at you.
Yes, sir.
Dillingham.
I like Dillingham, but again, Arizona State's not the SEC.
Sure. I think that's why he wants to come, though.
I think any coach in the Big 12 would love an opportunity to come coach in the SEC. Sure. Going 10-3 in the Big 12 is not like going 10-3 in the SEC. And I know people that are SEC haters get tired of hearing it. 10-3 in the Big 12 these days is not impressive to me. Right. The best teams in the Big 12 are no longer in the Big 12. Right. So winning 10 games in the Big 12 is not as impressive as it was back in the day.
But he had a taste of it. He was on the Auburn staff for a year. He understands it.
Yep.
But like Jeff and I were talking earlier, it'd be hard for me not to sit down and have a conversation with Charles Kelly. It just would.
Well, and Charles Kelly, Coach Kelly, I'm a Coach Kelly fan too, and I love Coach Kelly. I think the biggest thing that hurts Coach Kelly's chances is the failed experiment with Harsin and Freeze. I do think what I was saying here, I think that works against the Charles Kellys. I think that works against the Summeralls. I think that works against the guy at South Florida that everybody really is enamored with right now. I think the past two hires and them not working out at Auburn it hurts the chances of somebody that I really think like. I think Charles Kelly could do a great job at Auburn.
Fantastic.
I think Bill Clark could do a great job at Auburn.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm fans of those guys just because I happen to know them a little bit better, But I think they could both do the job at Auburn. But I don't know that Auburn would give either one of those guys much rope to be able to build it because the previous two they've not given those guys 3 years.
Coach Saban said that he is the best recruiter he's ever been around. Mm-hmm. Charles Kelly.
I believe that.
That says something. When
Coach Saban gives you that kind of compliment, and like I said, I'm a Jack State guy. I love Charles Kelly being at Jack State. I think he's doing a great job. I would hate to see him leave Jacksonville State, but obviously if Auburn came calling, you can't blame the guy for that.
Sure, yeah.
But
that's what Danny said.
I would love to see him get that opportunity, but I worry that the previous experiences in the last 6 years would not help his chances.
So last thought, and we can move to Westbrook. Hey, thanks for all the questions, the comments, guys. We appreciate you. Say Auburn wins out.
Mm-hmm.
They win their last 3.
Mm-hmm. What would that give them? 6 wins?
Well,
are they 4 and 5 right now?
That's right. Yeah. So
it'll be 7 and 5.
Give them a bowl game.
Right.
Do you have to really sit down and really consider DJ Durkin at that point?
I think you do. You remember the momentum that was built for Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
When he was the interim coach, and he had no head coaching experience, and being a local guy here, obviously we was all like, hey, if Cadillac Williams is the head coach at Auburn, how cool would that? Yeah. This is the bad part. I don't even know where Cadillac's at right now.
Las Vegas.
Where is he? Did he go UNLV with Mullen?
No, he's at the
Raiders. He was the Raiders, but then he stepped down from the Raiders.
Okay,
I think he's with Mullen at UNLV.
Okay, I was going to say, okay. I've lost touch with where he went to, but y'all can remember he went 2-2 in his last 4 and almost beat Alabama.
Yeah.
But went 2-2 in his last 4, and there was a big effort, out there to make him the permanent head coach. If Coach Durkin can win the last 3, they've been great on defense all year long. They're that trivia question. Give up 24,
3, right?
24 or less points. And the other 2 teams I think are
1 and 2.
That's right. They've played great defense all year long. Their offense, which is where Coach Freeze was, supposed to be the guy.
He was supposed to be Steve Smith, but he ain't.
No, well, I don't know about that, but they were.
What's your offense average?
Well,
over 44. Okay.
But they did not come through on that side of the ball, and that's really what cost him his job. The defense at Auburn has been great this year.
How much pressure is on another local guy, Derek Nix? Now he's finally going to be calling plays. It's all his. Durkin said, "You're the guy. I'm not stepping in."
Well, and I think Derek is a great coach. I heard him speak at our Alabama Football Coaches Association. He did a wonderful job. A great presenter. I'm a Derek Nix fan. But when they come out and said that he was going to call plays on first down, this guy was going to call plays on second down, this guy was going to be third down, I don't know I don't know who thought that was a great idea, but I am excited to see Coach Nix get an opportunity to be the full-time play caller because from calling plays, your first down play a lot of times is setting up your second down and your third down plays, and it's kind of hard for me. If I'm the second down guy and you call a terrible one on first down, you put me behind the 8 ball. And if I'm the third down guy and the first 2 down, who thought that was a good idea to let 3 different guys call plays? I talked
to other play callers in my career, of course, and they talk about you getting a rhythm.
Getting a rhythm, you do.
The game and what's working, what's not working. It's it's very organic. So
if Coach Nix was calling first down, he calls a good one, and it's 2nd and 1. He needs to be ready for calling the next one because maybe back the first down, when the second down loses 4 yards, what does he do? Just go get a cup of coffee and say, well, I've got a punt. I'll be back in 10 minutes. What do you do?
And what about, hey, I want to run tempo or
right.
Okay, I want to run tempo. I'm setting up my first down, but now they want to
the
13 personnel.
That may go on a lot more than we realize.
It could.
But I have never heard of anybody having a different coordinator calling the plays for first down, second down, and third down.
That's crazy.
And with Derek, look at who he studied under.
Oh, yeah.
Hugh Freeze when he was
That's
really
right.
rolling, right?
That's right.
Lane Kiffin.
Right.
Hugh Freeze, not so much now. Again, no disrespect. Coach Freeze has forgotten more about football than I'll ever know.
Right.
So I don't want to come across as I'm being negative to him, but sometimes being in a CEO position is different.
Well, we can all think of great coaches that were great position coaches or great coordinators, and they had their opportunity to be the head coach, and it took them out of their element.
Sure.
One thing I always admired about Coach Spurrier to his last day called his plays because what was his strong suit? Calling plays. And he was always the play caller, and sometimes those guys that are great position coaches or coordinators, when you put them in the CEO position, Mike Dubose comes to mind at Alabama. I don't know if there's a better D-line coach that's been at Alabama than Mike Dubose. But he struggled as the head coach, CEO of the organization, whereas a lot of times it's not that they can't do that job. It's just not what their strong suit. Their strong suit is fundamentally teaching the players. And I think a lot of people that don't know about 120, 130-man college roster, Mike Dubose could be a great D-line coach, but when he was the head coach, he couldn't spend all his time with the D-line. Coach Saban was always hands-on with the DBs at Alabama, even though there was a DBs coach. A lot of people say, well, Coach Saban's really the DB's coach, but he still, if you watch Coach Saban at practice, we had an opportunity as coaches, at the clinics and things to watch them. He still would mingle over to the offensive field. He would still mingle over with what was going on. Yes, he would step in and show a DB sometimes how he wanted something done, but very few guys that are great on the field coaches at positions turn into the same type of coaches when they're in that CEO spot. And I've often said, because I know some guys in high school that are the head coach and they've got an offensive and defensive coordinator. I personally couldn't do it that way. If I wasn't calling the plays or calling defense, if I wasn't doing something, I'd feel like, well, what do you need me for? I like to be involved in the actual input of what's going on in the game. And so several people have asked me, say, Coach, you going to grab somebody to call plays? I said, no, the day I quit calling plays, the day I quit. If I ain't calling the plays, I'm not any good. So that's awesome. But that it's different, and it's hard for us all to realize it, because when you think about it from Coach Freeze's perspective, obviously the pressure going into the year, there was already pressure. This didn't happen this past Sunday. Right. The pressure was already there. Then you got the health issues that he's going through. Got a lot of stuff on your plate, and I'm not saying that every Auburn fan should just pass along sympathy and be glad that, hey, appreciate your work. But you're seeing so many negative comments out there from people that, get your stuff and get on out of here and all. I get it. I get it from the other perspective. You don't have a lot of sympathy on somebody that's making millions of dollars and stuff. That's hard for the average person that I know to have a whole lot of sympathy on somebody that's making millions of dollars. But there's very few professions out there where people don't have a little bit of compassion on somebody that loses their job or a family that has to be uprooted and moved. But, coaching certainly don't get a whole lot of sympathy. If you don't get the job done, you just rolled in, rolled out, and tough luck.
All right, Vinemont. Let's go. Let's do it, Jerry.
Steer it.
Steer it, buddy.
What's going on?
Yep, we got to get there. They're chomping at the bit to hear about it.
They are. Yep. Again, a lot of these matchups, and let me just say this, and we were talking about this the last 2 weeks, finally really digging in and looking at the totality of 3A football.
Right.
There's some unbelievably good teams playing in 3A football right now. Still left. There's some.
No doubt.
Just look at the undefeated teams left.
Right.
If you look at the other, well, ain't none there. There was one there. You guys are loaded with undefeated, really good teams.
Yeah. Well, and it's the situation that we told our players. I think there's 104 playoff games this week. Right. I think there's 96 plus 8, 104 playoff games. So that means there's going to be 64 1 versus 4 matchups, or 68 1 versus 4 matchups. There'll be at least 1-4 that beats a 1. Always happens every year, and there may be 2 or 3. But if you go back and look over the last several years, the breakdowns in these 2-3 games is only about 60-40. Being a 2 is not an automatic, and if 60-40, then a lot of times that difference in the gap there can be attributed to home field.
Yeah.
It is a big deal to have home field advantage, but about 40% of these 2-3 games will go in the favor of the 3 that has to travel. And there's a lot of really, really evenly matched up 2-3 games.
Jasper, Kansas City.
Well, that's a 6A in our bracket, or in our 3A North, Colbert County and Collinsville. That's going to be a really good game. Collinsville's got a really good team to be a 3 seed, and they're having to make that long trip to Colbert County. But that's going to be a good game. Lauderdale County, in their tradition, coming to 5. That you usually don't see a Lauderdale County 5 matchup in the first round. That's going to be another really good 2-3 game. And then when we're sitting in a 2-3 game, and everybody says, well, Westbrook, home, you've had a great year. What? I told the kids, we haven't done anything yet. We're in the playoffs, but we're playing a Vinemont team that 3 weeks ago goes on the road and beats undefeated Gordo.
Sure did.
Vinemont was in a position to win that region and had a couple of hiccups in the last 2 region games, and they dropped from first to third. But you can count on one hand the teams in the last 5 to 10 years that's went on the road and beat an undefeated Gordo at Gordo. That don't happen very often, but Vinemont did that. So anything that's happened with Vinemont, I just keep pointing back to week 7. They went to Gordo and won 22-19. Gordo was undefeated, I think, ranked 2nd or 3rd in the state. So anything that somebody wants to say, well, yeah, but they lost this past week to Winfield or they lost to Oakman, I could care less about any of that. They beat Gordo at Gordo. They certainly are not going to be intimidated to come to Rainbow City and play Westbrook Christian, I promise you.
Well, let's just see how rowdy the Christians are. And when they get there, they may change their mind.
Sure.
It's a great environment.
I love the environment. I love the environment. I love our fans. I love our support. We need that home field advantage. We need that crowd behind us tomorrow night.
Mayor Taylor says, "Let's go, Coach. Good luck."
Thank you, Mayor Joe. Appreciate you.
That's the mayor's mayor.
He is a mayor.
Yeah,
he's the dude.
He is a great guy for Rainbow City, and he's a great guy for Westbrook Christian School. We appreciate him tremendously.
Brody Badgett, ask Coach Smith, what's the difference between Vinemont and Fife's ugly Eagle offense?
5-7 state championships is the biggest difference, but and I say that with respect to Coach Benefield because he and I have had this conversation before. Say this politically correct.
When that started.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of folks out there that have visited and watched Fife and watched what they do because what they do is unique.
Yeah.
And I've heard it come out of Coach's mouth. Well, if Fife can do it, we can do it. And I kind of think that's a little bit of an insult to Fife and what they've done.
Sure.
Because they've done it that way for a long time with tons of success. But I think people look around, they say, well, maybe we're not as talented at quarterback or receivers as the other people. Well, let's jump in what Fife does. Fife's good at that. They don't understand those kids at Fife. Whereas kids at a lot of places go out on the playground, they want to be quarterbacks. Yeah. I think kids at Fife grow up on the playground wanting to be pulling guards.
Yeah.
And they just go out there and just knock each other's teeth out.
That's true.
On the elementary playground.
Agreed.
I think a lot of places the kids might play touch football on the playground. I bet you everything I got at Fife, they play tackle.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And, to play that offense.
The girls, too.
That's it.
Right.
To play that kind of offense, you got to want to bring it every single day. Yeah. And Vinemont has done a really good job of running something similar.
Yeah.
And they've got some good players running what they do, and they've been good at how they do it. But to put Vinemont or anybody on Fife's level with the 7 blue trophies that's in the trophy case, I think is a little bit of a disrespect to Fife. Just because Fife's red and can run that ugly Eagle offense that Vinemont, they're red, they're going to run it. It don't look like Fife. I put it that way.
Yeah. And culturally, Fife's on a different level.
They are.
It is.
But they've earned
respect to all these other teams.
No, but they've earned that over the years. I mean, if you think of small school football in this area for the last 50 years, who's one of the first names that comes to mind? I mean, they've earned that. And so, but I do think imitation being the most sincere form of flattery, I think it is cool that you're seeing other people run that. And look, Ohatchee just down the road from us here, they simulated what Fife did and went to a semifinal run in 16 and had a lot of success. And Coach Jennings is trying to bring that mentality back at Ohatchee, and they're going to be. He's a great coach. They're going to be really good in the next couple of years. You mark it down. Ohatchee's going to be really good in 26, 27, 28. They got some players coming. They'll be good at it. But very few people. There have been a lot of people that dabble with trying to run what Fife runs, and they realize after about a year or two that they don't have those kind of people. But I say what I say, not as a disrespect to anybody else, but as the ultimate respect to Coach Benefield and Fife for what they've been able to do, because they do it, but they do it on a different level than everybody else.
That's right.
Let's talk about weather. Right?
Yes.
It's a big topic right now. Hey, why didn't you move yours to Friday? Obviously, it kind of works good because you get to go scout a game that if they had to move their game, you guys wouldn't have had to go scout that. I mean, there's film and stuff, but there's something about sitting in the stands and seeing it's a little different. And again, like you made a great comment. Sorry, James Spann. You're not always right.
Well, and I love James Spann, but it's hard for a weatherman on Friday morning to tell you what time the rain's going to actually come through Rainbow City for Friday night. I thought it was a bit odd that they were telling us on Monday what time it was going to get here. If they can tell us on Monday morning that it's going to rain from 7 to 10 on Friday night, we're not paying the weathermen near enough.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they ought to be predicting a lot of other stuff. But
be hired at Auburn.
well, but and look, if it's raining tomorrow night during the game, there's probably going to be a lot of people there. They may not be cussing me verbally, but they may be cussing me in their heart, and that's okay. But we're going to roll the dice and just do something about Friday night lights and playoff football on Friday night. You can't play playoff football on Friday night on Thursday night. So, but each their own. The people that's going to play tonight, they're obviously going to have great weather. It looks really, really nice for tonight. You said getting an opportunity to go out and scout a game. That also, on the flip side, means those people can come scout us tomorrow. But if they're in the rain, at least they'll be miserable too.
Yes, you are also. He's also going to be scouting the concession stand.
That's supper tonight. I got a couple of junior high basketball games at our place tonight, and then heading to Geraldine. And been told by some of our assistant coaches that went up there last week that they've got outstanding tacos and tamales, but they were out by halftime. So I've got to get to Geraldine football stadium and get supper before the crowd gets in line.
So what I'm hearing basketball is going to be a running clock. We're just going to run it on through to get him out of there.
Well,
that's so funny. It's a good question. Hey, can you go over the offensive line? I'm gonna phrase it delivered and it's asked. Hey, can you go through the progression of how the offensive line has developed with this team this year?
Yeah, going into the season, we only had 2 returning starters, Jonah Valentine and Cooper Lancaster. So, had some question marks there. Luke Armstrong, who's a senior, has stepped in at right guard. Taylor Brown has moved over from the defensive side to left tackle. And then Jack Larkin, a sophomore, earned the start at right tackle. And I just think our offensive line, it's hard to characterize groups and say this group that did this group. Yeah. I think anybody that watches us probably realizes the defensive line is one of our strengths. I think offensive line going into the season was our biggest question mark just because we had our returning starters at receiver, returning starter at quarterback, returning starters in the backfield. Secondary had 2 returning starters. Offensive line was where we had our biggest hits, 8 seniors last year, and 3 of them were offensive line starters. But to say this about our offensive line, I think it's by far our most improved position group as the season has went along. And really, offensive line is a unit. They're working in cohesion. They're working together. So you could be a really good spot on the offensive line, but if the guy on your left or the guy on your right is not working in tandem with you, then a lot of times it's just some breakdowns. But Adam Brown is our offensive line coach. He moved over from defensive line. Mark Sanders had been our O-line coach. He took the Asheville head coaching job. And he has done a great job. Adam Brown moving over to offensive line for us, though, has been a tremendous thing because he has molded those guys and brought them along throughout the year, put them in the positions that we needed to have to be successful. And, they have really come together. And like I said, I think it's our most improved position group by far for the season. And they're playing their best ball right now. We had an offensive lineman that was actually our team's player of the week this past week against Welver. Luke Armstrong was our player of the week. We had 3 linemen that graded out 90% or better. That's hard to do as an offensive lineman. And Coach Brown grades them pretty strict. But to have those guys playing at that level week 10 of the season is a testimony to their work and to his work molding that group together. So I've been very pleased with how our offensive line has come together.
As a coach, you want great matchups for your guys.
Right.
But as a fan on the sideline, you study teams constantly as you're going in, or Vinemont's coming into Rainbow City.
Right.
What's a matchup you're kind of excited to see?
Well, they are a ball control offense, much like what we saw last week with Welborn, much like what we saw with Ohatchee back week 6.
Mm-hmm.
They love to grind it out. I made this comment, to Coach Robinson when he and I were talking on the phone earlier in the week. We had their last 3 films, which was Gordo, Oakman, and Winfield. And in those 3 films, we probably charted 120 to 150 offensive snaps, 40 to 50 snaps a game. They ran out of bounds 3 times in 150 snaps.
Good gracious.
And 2 of them was their guy, their quarterback, or somebody running out on his own to avoid taking a hit. So they don't get out. If we had a grass field, I would worry about them tearing it up because they play everything between the hashes.
Yeah.
So that challenge versus our defensive line and versus the way we've been playing defense as a whole, their whole philosophy is make some first downs, control the clock. Our whole philosophy is kick it in the end zone, 3 and out, short field. I think the biggest the thing that's going to be fun to watch the most is, can they grind it out and keep the ball and flip the field position, versus can we get 3 and outs, stuff them, force a punt, get the ball on their side. People, it's a broken record. People they get tired of me saying the same thing every single week. But I think the most fun matchup this week is going to be, can we get them off the field and not let them hold the ball? And can our defensive line, who we feel like is one of our strong suits, match up and hold up and take it to them and get some stops so that we can get that short field, and then hopefully, run an up-tempo type thing. We're not playing any guys both ways. They're playing 5 or 6 guys both ways, just trying to just wear on them right there with basically 2-on-1 against their guy that's having to go both sides of the ball, and see if we can't, follow the same script that we followed, for the whole season.
As your defensive coordinator said the term gap integrity this week, boys. Have we heard that?
He uses a lot of terms, and I love Coach Lowe, but he talks a lot about eye discipline and gap integrity and filling and spilling, and just a lot of those terms that you hear the defensive guys use. My advice to him, he always laughs. I said, if nothing else works, widen the ends, send the backers, and that's that's about all I do. That's all I know on defense, But anyhow, he does a great job, and I did tell him, I said, this weekend don't widen the ends, because if we widen the ends, they're just going to run it more inside. So,
but still send the backers.
But yeah, send the backers anyway. But he's done an outstanding job week to week. So this is one of those weeks. He don't have more than 5 or 6 different things that they're going to do. They do those things, and they do them so well. It's just doing your job, this play, the next play, in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, and continuing to do, as redundant as it may be, those big D linemen that's taking on double teams, hitting your base and not getting rolled out of there and getting knocked back in the linebackers. I mean, there's no glory when you're getting double teamed all night long, but you can still be a big contributing factor on the defensive side by not getting rolled out of your gap, hitting your base, making a pile, those types of things that the PA guy don't call that guy's name out.
No.
But
should, though.
but they're doing their job so that somebody else is filling the gap, making the play.
Well, one thing that I love about Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, he only talks about team success, team glory.
Right.
That's really what you're talking about.
Right.
This play may not get the pinpoint this will happen, but because you did this,
right,
it's team success.
And that's what we've preached ever since day one with me being there. I'm all about the team. Probably to a point that some people get tired of hearing about it. It definitely don't cater well to people that are about individuals. That's for sure. But I'm all about the team, and I'm all about the team's success and doing things that's best for the team. And I've long lived by the motto: if the team had success, the people that needed the individual recognition would get that as byproduct of being on a successful team. And I still maintain that. You look at the All-State team in 3A when it comes out this year, it'll be 50% dominated by the people that were in the semifinals or the finals. Mm-hmm. And why do you think that is? Well, those teams are probably there because of the great players, yes, but the great players also are getting seen by more of the media in the bigger stages when you get to the final 4 teams, final 2 teams, and if a team has a lot of success, the players get the recognition that they deserve.
Sure. Talk about real quick how special this is for Westbrook Christian School. Their first playoff game in a minute, and talk about that as a community, as a school.
Yeah, I'm very proud of where we're at athletic department wise. In the fall, we've got cross country, volleyball, football, and cheerleading. Our cheerleading team is qualified for the state competition at regionals. Our cross country team won sectionals last weekend. They're running in the state championship meet this Saturday. Got a chance to play, go compete for a blue trophy. Volleyball team just got beat at the state tournament in the Elite Eight. Football teams qualified for the playoffs. So, we're 4 for 4 in things here in the fall where we're having a chance for our boys and girls to be seen on a statewide level. So I'm very proud about the success that we've had as a whole, athletic department wise. I think that's a testimony to our players, our coaches in all of our sports, our faculty, and everybody has a part. Our W Club and the things that they do to support all these different teams. It's been a team effort all the way around for everyone to be successful. But speaking directly about football, I have an opportunity to host a first round playoff game as a reward for a great regular season. The enthusiasm that our fans have had all year long, home and away. We've traveled well on the road. It's just been a lot of fun. Our student section, they've been tremendous all year long. We got a band that's playing now, and they're loud in the stands. Just everybody having a part on that Friday night atmosphere has been a lot of fun for sure. And we hope to just keep this thing rolling for next few weeks. We just got to play them one at a time, and we're playing tomorrow night for an opportunity to do it for another week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last thing for me, and I want to go back and talk about unit groups. We don't hear a lot about this position group for whatever reason. I want to talk about it, but I was really impressed with your back end on defense.
Yeah.
That's a good group.
They're a good group, and they are a much maligned group over the course of the past few seasons because one of our big Achilles has been giving up big pass plays.
Yeah.
And the sad part about playing corner, I'll just give you that. A corner can do a great job 45 out of 50 plays in a game. That's 90% of the time. He's doing his job. His guy's not making any catches. He's making tackles if he has to. He's covering them deep. The quarterback don't throw it his way or whatever. It's those 4 or 5 times where they get burned or where the guy catches a pass or where they miss a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Corners miss tackles, and a lot of times our safeties miss tackles and their touchdowns because there's nobody behind them.
Mm-hmm.
A D lineman misses a tackle. He's got linebackers rallying behind him. Then he's got secondary people behind that. So a secondary position is one of the toughest positions to play. And the rules are offensive oriented as well. You can't put your hands on them. You can't touch them. You can't look at them too hard. You can't, all that stuff works against the defender. But our defensive backs, one of our big stats, I think we got 14 interceptions through the regular season this year. We had 3 last year as a team for 10 games. We still have given up a big pass play or two here along the way this season. But what a job those guys have done. Coach Easterwood and Coach Lowe working with those guys in the secondary. And we got 4 guys that start, but we've had about 6 that have played a considerable amount back there. And they've done a wonderful job this year, and they've continued to get better. But again, a lot of times their good job is not recognized near as much as it should be, and their bad jobs are really accentuated because you see it in the form of a 60-yard touchdown pass, and go, whose man was that? And a lot of times as a coach, I'm going, who's supposed to have that guy? But they do a wonderful job, and a lot of times you look out there in that corner, and that receiver's one-on-one, and they got from the middle of the field to the sideline, and it's just them, and he's got to cover him, and he can't touch him. And then they throw the underneath route, and then you got to come up and make a tackle one-on-one. Can't say enough good things about our defensive backs and the job that they've done. Our starters are Luke Thompson and Gavin Michael, Maddox Mooney, Carter Cothran. And then Justice Jones plays a lot in the secondary for us. And then been really impressed lately with J.P. Taylor, and been impressed with James Vegetes, and been impressed with Cordell Martin. We got about 8 guys that have got in there and got some meaningful reps, and all those guys have done a great job, so I'm proud of all of them.
Yeah.
All right. Invite them to the game tomorrow night, Coach.
Hey,
you look right there and invite
which
them.
camera?
This right there.
This camera.
This right there. The Steve.
We definitely want everybody in Rainbow City that's a Westbrook Warrior fan to come out tomorrow night, rain or shine. The game's going to go on at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. It's an exciting time for us to have this opportunity to host a playoff game. We're looking forward to our visitors from Vinemont coming over and having a good time from about 7 to 9:30. So if you're in Rainbow City and you're a West